and finish off with using visual display units and complying with industry good practice. Right, so the relevant legislation which I think applies to Ivy Fairs, first of all is the Data Protection Act, also the Health and Safety Regulations, Computer Misuse Act and the Freedom of Information Act. The Data Protection Act I'm going to go into more detail on the next slide. Health and safety regulation, health and safety is the one which applies to the visual display units, which I'll go on to in the later slides. Computer Misuse Act is the act which piece of legislation which specifies what you should and should not be doing when using computers. And the Freedom of Information Act, I think this applies because it gives the right to the person who's being held data about to access their information whenever. Right, so I'm just going to give a quick rundown of the Data Protection Act because I think you all know what it is. Data hold should be adequate, relevant, not excessive, accurate and secure storage, accurate and secure storage, accurate and secure storage, and secure storage, and secure storage, and secure storage, stored securely. Also, I think it should be processed fairly and lawfully, used only for specified purposes. And what that means is, say, Ivy Fairs asked for a name. First of all, the employers have got to understand the principles. It might sound a bit silly, but until you understand them, you can't follow them. And finally, the following, policies and procedures in place, so creating policies for data so that if data protection is broken, they have something in place which allows them to deal with the problem. Also, some organisations employ data protection officers, which is sort of like a middleman to ensure that data protection is being met, as well as other legislation. Implement set reviews. Implement set reviews on there every so often, once every month or 2 months, depending on how often they happen. You can lose reputation. Then, if you lose reputation, you lose your custom. You lose your custom, you lose your money. You lose your money, you lose your business. Sort of a chain reaction. Right, moving on. Using visual.
Do we Ivy Fairs have to do anything, or?
I'm not too sure. I'm not too sure.
Provide them with any specialist equipment, or is that?
Well, yeah, there's specialist equipment out there. I think there's specialist keyboards where they can rest the wrists on in the mouse pads.
Do Ivy Fairs have to provide that?
I suppose it would be good practice if they did. If an employee come to them with, say, they had RSI and thingy, because legal action could go. They don't. I'm not entirely sure on the specifications within that. Excessive, accurate and secure storage.